Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews, and this is Refuge from Narcissism. And this refugee video is sponsored by contribution from Jenny. And this is Jenny with the audio with living when your husband is living in his mommy's uterus. Here is her story, and there's more audio attached to this as well. Ollie, thank you so much for your input with the second part of this phone call. Your feedback has been very eye-opening for me. As I reflect back, many things make so much more sense to me now. You mentioned that he sees his mother in me and thus reverses the anger he has towards her for me, or that there are things that I do or say to trigger this response. I hope I can figure that out one day because it happens so often. I told you need to be getting out, so I don't know what you're trying to figure out still here, Jenny. I'll say something and he will suddenly lose his temper and get angry with me. In those moments I get so confused because I don't always understand what I did to upset him, and it doesn't make sense for any logical person to get angry over many of these things, yet he does. He also gets upset with me if he feels like I'm saying that anything he does is less than perfect. I don't mean that in a mean way, but it's like he gets upset that what he's already doing or giving isn't enough and he doesn't want to have to do more. That may not be the case, but more so how it makes me feel. He constantly reverts back to not being understood. I don't listen, he deserves credit, or he gets no appreciation for what he does. I assumed it was an anger management issue and him just being a very sensitive person, but it concerns me that it runs much deeper than that after hearing what you've had to say. Right, because he hears you criticize him, he hears his mother. Oh, are you going to start now? Wonderful. I got the window open in front of me. Now Graceless here is going to be dive bombing the window all day. So he hears a criticism. He says to you everything he's afraid to say to his mommy. That's what the son husband does. The son husband says everything to you that he's afraid to say from his mommy. Say it to his mommy. And even if he said it, it's kind of hard for her to hear him from inside her fucking uterus. It's sad to see the reality here because no one else sees this side of him but me. When this side of him is not on display, he's a wonderful man, he's a loyal friend, a hard worker, and he's very generous. When the phone is silent and his family members aren't reaching out, he doesn't seem the least bit bothered by any of it. With regard to his dad, he does not have a relationship with him, nor does he care to speak to him, at least to my knowledge. The entire family, to the least to your knowledge. How do you not know? You've been with this guy for how long? You're married to him and you don't know the exact story behind his father? I mean, why? The entire family has an unrealistic perspective on this situation, including his dad, so he'll never get an accurate depiction of what happened from anyone unless he researches the court documents for himself. The family says she was leading him on, having an affair, and then he accidentally did what he did without real... Oh, that's right, he murdered that. I'm sorry. His father's in prison for murdering... That's right. For murdering a woman he was seeing. And that's right. Her mother was more concerned about what everybody was going to think, that the marriage wasn't real. That's right. Oh, fuck. That's right. That's right. I forgot about that. He's a murderer. The family says she was leading him on, having an affair, and then he accidentally did what he did without realizing when they got into an argument. It's not you don't accidentally murder somebody. You don't accidentally murder somebody. They also say he confessed to his sister and he turned himself in within hours of the incident, if I'm recalling correctly. For years, they've talked about how he's going to get out of prison soon and that he served his term. His dad also believes that he's done his time, he deserved to get out, and it's unfair for him to spend more time in prison. While it was technically a crime of passion, there was not enough evidence to deem it premeditated. The court ordered he spend the maximum amount of time possible incarcerated. The judge said he was not taking responsibility for his actions and showing no remorse. He brushed it off as a one-time anomaly and seemed to think it wouldn't happen again, but never came to terms with his actions. He said he was said to have a complete disregard for human life, and the court found this to constitute a clear and present danger. His only response in his statement to the victim's family was he was sorry for what happened. After he went away, she still continued to visit him in prison, taking the kids to see him. To this day, when his dad gets brought up, she only ever mentions that pornography is responsible for what he did. Pornography is responsible. Huh. Okay, so let me tell you what's going on a little bit there with she's blaming it on pornography. She's blaming the reason obviously the reason he stepped out on the marriage was because of her. So she needs to be able to pin it on whatever she can fucking pin it on. Now, this guy going and killing a woman and not taking responsibility for it, that's bad. I mean, that's sociopathic, obviously, and dangerous in his own right. And you're trying to tame this monster, Jenny. You're trying to tame all of this with all of this shit going on. Again, I would have to ask, what led you to this, that you're going to put up with this situation in the first place? The sad thing is, no one will ever really know the truth because the victim is not alive to tell her side of the story. That being said, he did not turn himself in. She was a young, beautiful newlywed, and he stopped by her place of work, where I'm sure she was kind to him. He took a liking to her and likely frequented the establishment during her shift. She was working alone in the early hours, and he stopped by. For some reason, she went outside to speak with him and never made it back inside. Had he turned himself in like they claim, she may have still been alive, because the autopsy determined she did not die right away, but a period of time later due to her injuries. There have been several times that I have tried to bring up the facts of if things get brought up in conversations, but no longer do, because he got very upset with me and basically told me to shut it, or that I don't know the truth. That's his dad, he loves him, and he's not a bad person, but he won't go talk to him. He won't have anything to do with him. I did share the previous recording with our counselor. It took several sessions and him being upset about the counselor's feedback, but he did finally say he believed what she was saying. After he was asked if it makes sense that he believes it, but doesn't want to believe it at the same time. It was a huge relief for me to hear that initially, because I thought this was finally the wake-up call to see things for what they are. I also vocalized the concern I had regarding the viciousness he had towards me after we hung up the phone, which was chalked up to this event carrying a lot of emotional weight, and he can tell this is a sensitive subject for both of us. We spent the rest of the time with my husband trying to convince the counselor that his mom is a good person and she was really sorry. This guy is hopeless. This is hopeless, and you listen, it doesn't matter how many words you write, how many times you try to explain it. This guy is hopeless. If he concedes a point in therapy, that's just so you can stop talking. He has to stop talking about it. That's it. That's it. The counselor said that my husband needed to make it clear to her that he was not going to allow her to hide behind him anymore, and that he needs to shut down her attempts to talk to him about this situation because she shouldn't be doing that with him. In his attempt to do what the counselor advised, he reached out to her and told her it would mean a lot if she would just reach out to me directly to resolve this. Then he followed up by saying he can't be in the middle of it anymore. Come on, man. Come on. He's just a pussy. This was frustrating because I already told him I wanted nothing to do with her and that I had no interest in speaking to her because things were never going to change. I tried to appreciate that he did make an effort to do what the counselor said, but I hate that he made it sound like I wanted her to talk to me privately in the process. When she texted me to ask if we could talk, I was taken back and not happy about it once I found out why. I ended up recording the phone call and will share it below. He asked me how the conversation went. I told him it was more of the same nonsense, except she had no fake tears or emotional breakdowns. I said to never have her contact me again because she's not going to change, and I'm not going to keep kicking a dead horse with this exhausting conversation. He was upset that it didn't go well, and I said to stop hoping for anything to come of this because it's never going to. This conversation occurred prior to your review of my previous recordings. I wish that wasn't the case because I think I was much nicer than I should have been, and I allowed the call to continue for far too long. We haven't spoken since this conversation. I am very disheartened that during our latest discussions, my husband has confirmed that he believes his mother knows what she's done to me and knows it's wrong. He knows she isn't safe for our children to be around. He knows how she treated him as a child was wrong, but she's his mother. He loves her, and he's not going to cut her out of his life. So he knows that your mother is dangerous. It's not safe for your children to be around his mother, but yet he's not going to cut her out. Jenny, that tells you everything, right? Like, enough. What are you doing? So you're going to put your children's safety in danger so he can continue to climb up in his mother's pussy and live in her fucking uterus, right? Right? Like, how many times are you going to write in so I could tell you the same thing at this point? Because now it's going to be on you. See, if he's at the point now where he's told you he knows what his mother's doing, he knows she's wrong, he knows she isn't safe to be for your child to be around, and you're going to allow him to not cut her out and bring her around anyway, well, that's on you now. Because a shit leopard doesn't change its spots. And I've been telling you it's not going to change. It's not going to change. It's on you. If something happens to your child in her care because of her, it's on you. It's on you. Because you're putting your own marriage, i.e. dick and attention, ahead of the safety of your own child. It almost makes it worse knowing that this is where it stands. No, it is worse. It is worse. That she's not going to change and I'm never going to be ready. To which he said, then we have a problem. I said I couldn't believe he could sit there knowing all she has done and still say, well, she's my mother. Well, yeah, the mask, that's where the mask comes off. That's where, like, it's all talk. That's all they just want to talk and bitch and complain. They don't actually want to do anything about it. He also said it was his fault. I hate her because he is. Let's go, Graceless. Come on. Come on. There you go. There you go. Fatso. Thank you. Thank you. Because that's not going to be distracting as that just swings in my face now. I appreciate that, Staley. Thanks for the help. He also said it was his fault. I hate her because he has only shared the bad memories. as if your perception and you don't have eyes and ears and haven't been living with this. He confirmed he's not clueless about it, yet he's going to remain in her life anyway. It may sound selfish on my end, but I feel completely betrayed as his wife and his companion. I know he tells me I come first and validated that by mentioning that we haven't been over to see her, but the fact that he's still asking, wanting to, and willing to go whether I'm there or not says otherwise. Even if he goes alone, we usually end up fighting about one thing or another due to whatever conversations or guilt trips he receives during the first visit. I feel like he would stand by me and hold a common ground with me if he really supported me. Yeah, he would. But he doesn't. And he never, ever, ever will. And if anything happens to your child because of her, it's not on him. It's on you now. He's made it clear. He's made it clear. He's built his man cave in his mommy's uterus. You're going to have to get this through your fucking head, Jenny, eventually. It's going to have to, like, if something happens to your child because of her, do not blame him. Do not blame her. It is your fault now. It is your fault. They are who they are. They're telling you who they are. If anything happens to your child because of her, it is on you. I have opted not to share this recording with him because I'm sure he will only think that she was trying to apologize and I was being rude to her, just like the last one. I also noticed quite a difference in how she spoke to me the first time around versus this time when it was only the two of us. This was a difficult conversation for me because I wasn't prepared for what she might say, and it was hard to navigate things without wanting to fly off the handle and let her have it. I was trying to be careful not to give her too much of a reaction for her to then victimize herself with later. However, I can see now that it wouldn't have mattered what I said or how I said it. She's likely doing that right now. Thanks again, Ali. The support you offer through this channel and the community around it helped me feel like I'm not alone. Jenny. On to the recording. That is, here we go. 26 minutes. Here we go.
Got it. So,
okay.
At least that's my plan. Now, we'll see what happens.
All right.
So, anyway. Okay. So, I just wanted to see what I can do to help mend a broken fence that I know that I broke. And I just sincerely want to apologize and tell you I'm sorry for anything that I've done or said that has hurt you. So, and I honestly couldn't be more sincere. I'm really sorry. And so I just wanted you to know that. So.
Okay. I mean, that's good to hear. I don't really know what it is that you're wanting from me or like expecting me to say.
Nothing really. I just want to start fresh and build a relationship. So I just know that I'm just sorry for whatever I've done. I just hope that she'll give me another chance to start fresh and start working on a relationship. So.
I mean, I understand that. It's a little confusing for me because I'm kind of getting the impression that it's like, if it's whatever I've done, that it's like you still are not like
taking responsibility. Yeah.
The issues are, or that they have been, and that it's just kind of like, well, whatever it is that's like caused this rift, then I'm sorry.
Right, because listen, you know when an apology is a fake apology that's going to be rescinded. I only did it to be the bigger person, yada, yada, yada. An apology without allocution is meaningless. Why? Because it's just going to be rescinded and then turned around against you. I was the bigger person. Bullshit.
Except for, what we talked about the last time, but I would like to start and, make a different relationship. And if there's something that that I need to do, I'm happy to do that.
Well, look, like, this is what's frustrating about that, is that I have a hard time thinking that, like, you really can just be sitting here clueless and, like, not understanding, because, you kind of have created this impression that it's like, I don't know what I've done, and I don't know what I've done to upset her, and I just can't possibly think of anything, and it's like, that just doesn't really make any sense to me, because at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, it's how you feel about me. It's how you feel towards me. It's kind of like how you treat me, how you talk about me. And, at the end of the day, like, I just kind of feel like I don't think that, like, my having an issue with, like, boundaries and things being respected should be something that should then come off at, like, well, Jenny doesn't like me. And it's frustrating because I just don't think that I've ever really done anything or facilitated any situations where I have been, like, mean or rude or disrespectful, and yet I have somebody who's extremely dismissive to me in person and, like, kind of exclusive and, like, does things that kind of, like, cause me to not feel welcome. And then it also patterns, like, things that I hear about, like, what is said when I'm not around, and it kind of affects the relationship there, and it also, like, poisons the relationship with other people and their perceptions of me. And it's like, I can't for the life of me understand, like, why there would be such a dislike for me there, because I don't think that I've really done anything to, like, deserve that or justify that. And, like, I don't get it. And so I can't sit there and think that, like, you're still sitting there saying, like, I don't know what I've done, but I guess I'm sorry. So it's like, I don't really know how anything can really be, like, fixed or rectified with that, if, like, that's the approach.
But, okay, so on your point, I get what you're saying. But I have, Jenny, honestly, I have, when we lived in the other house, I made sure that I was,
See, this is why this is meaningless. It's pointless. It's 26 minutes of a half-assed apology where she was not admitting anything. I don't really know what I'm apologizing for. What's the point? And your husband set you up again. Your husband set you up for the same fucking trap, and you keep falling for it. Say, no, I'm not talking to her. No.
I'd know that you guys were coming over. I'd run and I'd clean the house, and I tried to put on our best impression of anything or everything I could do, and make sure that my house would pick up. And
what does that have to do with anything, though, Patty?
Exactly. I was just like, what is she talking about? This is what these boomers do. They just go on and try to validate their day of everything they do and what people think, and it's nonsense. Another 21 minutes to go of more of her fucking fucking half-ass nonsense.
I have never felt like we added up to what you felt. Like
it's always on you. See, again, she's we never added up. Again, we never added up. Again, on you. She's supposed to be apologizing, and now it's like, well, we never added up to you. She's not apologizing for shit.
And then I find out that when I asked questions, get to know you, I was giving you the third degree, and I went, okay, well, I won't ask questions anymore. So on one hand, I've never felt...
They don't ask questions, because them asking questions, normal people ask questions. They interrogate. They investigate. They're digging for info. They're digging for dirt.
Adequate, never felt like we were good enough for you and your family or whatever. So I have
more gaslighting,
and I was wrong, and I'm saying I'm sorry for that. But
wow. Like, we weren't good enough for you, but I'm wrong. Like, do you? I'm the bigger person. This is the I'm the bigger person apology. The I'm the bigger person apology. Stop it. Stop it.
That you want to write down everything that I could have said or done and let me look at that and let me try to make amends for that. I'm happy to do that.
Patty,
but I don't know what that would solve.
Patty, just please stop. Like, basically what you're telling me right now is that I have presented an attitude to you that has caused you to not feel good enough for me, and that I act like I'm better than you, and that you have done these things to impress me, and that I have just been rude.
Jenny, that's not what I said.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly what you said.
I wanted to make a good impression on you. I tried to make a good impression on you. That's what I'm saying. I just felt like I was never good enough to when
she repeats what she just said.
That was my
she just said, Jenny just said exactly what I said, that the whole the mother says I'm not good enough, and then reiterates exactly what she just said again.
Perception. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you were rude or anything. I'm saying that was my perception, and I'm saying that it was wrong.
But
that's what I said.
You're also not recognizing the things that I am specifically listing to you. And it doesn't have to be about specific incidents. It has to do with specific patterns of behavior. And there's not even really been any discussion of that. Instead, it was like this whitewashing of I did all these things to try to make a good impression when you came over. And that's it.
Okay.
So I mean, if you want to get more specific, I know that you constantly are talking about me when I'm not around. I know that it has affected the perception of other people in the family with regard to me, and it has also caused a lot of problematic issues with Sean and I, and it's just, and I can't for the life of me understand why it would be happening, other than the fact that I have certain boundaries in place that I expect to be respected, and it's because of that it then turns into other things. And I know that you say that you don't gossip and you don't talk about people, but unfortunately you do. And I know that you know that. And it's kind of frustrating to just have you sit here and try to just be so clueless about it as if I have no idea. Because the problem is that when you do kind of run your mouth to people, things can come back. We're a small town. It's not like people don't know me. It's not like people don't know my family. And it's a little frustrating to have you still sit here and say, I don't know about any of this, and I just wanted to make a good impression and get to know you, and I tried to ask questions, and apparently I couldn't. I don't really know where that would come from. I mean, I am by nature a private person, and there are a lot of things that I do like to keep to myself, and I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. But I don't know I don't know how to have this conversation with you if you're not actually willing to hear me out and understand where I'm coming from.
Jenny, I'm totally willing to hear you out and understand where you're coming from. That's why I called. I totally want to make amends. I have not talked to anybody. I have not been in my office. I work from home.
She just admit, all right, In the last, I haven't been to my office. She's just admitted, like through her denial, where the gossip is happening. Because wasn't one of her coworkers that was getting back to you in the last video? So again, she knows exactly what you're fucking talk about because she knows exactly how to frame the lie. She knows exactly where the gossiping is going. She just called it out. Work. I haven't been in work. Really? Really? I didn't bring up your job. You brought up your job.
Work from home right now, but I also have been in Sean's life for almost 10 years.
Okay.
So please don't sit there and try to say I don't do this and I don't say anything. Like, I know how you feel about me.
You hear how she said okay? You hear that okay? When you said you've been in Sean's life for 10 years, okay. And she don't like that. She didn't like that.
What's also frustrating is that, you know, if you're doing or saying certain things, like it's like, why does somebody want to be around somebody who's going to, like, speak of them in such a way, or that's, like, not going to be respectful of certain boundaries, or that's not really going to be, like, inclusive when they're around? Like, it creates an uncomfortable environment. And, like, you constantly talking about, you know, Jenny this and Jenny that, and I'm upset about this and I can't believe that. Like, I feel like you're constantly, in a sense, like, victimizing yourself of things that, like, I really can't understand, like, why you would be doing that, but it, like, changes the perception as well that other people have about me. You know, I mean, I had I mean, there was problematic stuff that was going on with the wedding. There was problematic stuff going on with the baby shower and, like, any, like, major event that happened up until that point. I mean, we're here having a baby blessing and having this nice, wonderful, beautiful day, and you're sitting there over upset and, like, in Sean's ear and, you know, being frustrated that you can't hold the baby, instead of just being respectful of the fact that the baby's back in the bedroom nursing, so it's like nobody gets to see her. But instead of that, it's like you're making Sean uncomfortable, you're making my parents uncomfortable, and then being disrespectful to my own mother, who's trying to, like, be polite and kind about the situation. Like, it's just, and that's just one incident. And so to sit there and just say, like, I have no clue, and I mean, that's just things that go on in person. That's not even the stuff that goes on when I'm not around. I know that you talk about me. I know that you say things about me. I know that there's a lot of things that you don't like, and a lot of decisions that, like, I make or that Sean and I make together, and there's just a lot of things that I know that you don't like. And, like, it's okay for you not to like them or to not agree with them or to not be happy about them, but, like, to then sit there and, you know, just go on and say, well, I don't know why she doesn't like me. Like, it's not about liking you, but it's just at some point it's like, okay, well, I've got, like, so many things on my plate. I don't have the energy to sit here and deal with this. It's easier for me to just separate myself from it than to try to, like, deal with it, because it's an awkward and uncomfortable thing, for one, and for two, like, I don't really feel like it's going to get anywhere, because there still is not any, like, acknowledgement really about how you are. Like, you're still just saying, well, I haven't been at work in a year. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I just don't want to hear that anymore.
Jenny, I'm sorry the way I've come off. I didn't realize I was making people feel uncomfortable at the baby blessing. I'm sorry.
This isn't about the specific baby blessing. Like, this is about, like,
you're wasting your time. You just rattled off like 10 things. She found the most innocuous thing she possibly could and then fixated on that. And fixated on that to get you to fixate on that. You're wasting your time here.
I shouldn't have to go and, like, list off every particular incident for you to say, I'm sorry about that, I'm sorry about that. Like, at the end of the day, it just comes down to a matter of, like, respect. Like, being respectful to me when I'm present, being respectful of boundaries that are set in place, and, like, being respectful about me to other people when I'm not around. Like, it's just, at the end of the day, it's all about a level of respect.
Okay.
She don't want to respect you. That's for goddamn sure.
I don't think I can go through every incident or anything like you said. I'm just gonna start. I'll just. I just. I think that on my end, I think that I probably had my feelings hurt that I couldn't see a baby, couldn't be part of her life, and I get your boundaries.
This wasn't just about being hurt and not seeing a baby, Patty. Because
so now she's admitting it, but it's still your fault because you wouldn't let her see the baby. She's never going to give you what you want. Never. There is no scenario in her mind where she's not going to blame this all on you.
Again, like I've been with Sean for almost 10 years. This kind of stuff was going on before that. It's not just about a baby because there were plenty of conversations to be had prior to that. There's been numerous times that, like, I've heard Sean say, like, my mom says you don't like her, my mom says you don't like her, she doesn't know why you don't like her, and I'm like, I don't know why she says that. Like, this isn't just about you having hurt feelings because you couldn't see a baby. This is about how you treat someone else.
So how, Jenny, okay, how have you treated me? I mean, really, how you be honest with yourself. I know you have boundaries, but honestly, how have you treated me? Have you ever got to get to know me or anything?
Me. Right back to her.
It doesn't matter. You don't even have to answer that. But you know what? I just want you to think about what it is that you think that I can do so that so that I can be, at least part of Sean's life. If you don't want me part of yours, that's totally up to you. I just want to know what it is that I can do to start over, to make amends, anything that I can do. And if you can think of that, great. And if you can't, great. But
Patty, it's entirely up to you. It shouldn't have to take. It shouldn't have to take me. It shouldn't have to take me telling you
how to be a decent person.
This is what I would like because I have already listed that. But as far as like ramifications for things that have happened to the relationship up to this point and rectifying that is up to you. That is up to you to have to acknowledge that and to have to acknowledge that, like, I've done these things, I've said these things, and instead you're still sitting there just saying, I'm clueless and I have no idea what I've done to you.
Okay, I've done these things, I've said these things. I don't know every incident that I've offended you on. I'm just saying that I'm sorry.
Patty,
I can't go back.
You can't win. You can't win. You are good. This is for maximum annoyance to get you to throw your hands up and give up. You're wasting your time.
But you also have to be able to, like, recognize it and acknowledge it. And I know that if your approach of it from the get-go, from the entire time, is saying, I don't know what I could have done, I haven't done anything, I haven't done this or that, and I've listed these things to you. You have.
I have never said that I haven't done anything.
You said that I don't know what I've done.
I know it. I don't know all the things that I've done. But I'm just saying to you that because I'm not out in the public anymore, I'm not talking to anybody, and I don't talk to my family about it. I don't know.
Patty, you do, because Sean has gotten, like, outreach from other members of the family talking about this whole issue. And it's very frustrating. I don't like the way that you gossip about me, and I don't like the way that you have an issue with respecting people's boundaries.
I don't gossip about you. I have never
You just told her that Sean's hearing it from other family members. She don't say who. She don't say I never said anything. I
mean, I'm not going to say that because I have said things about you, and I did say them at work because somebody asked me. I don't know. I have said things, and I'm
still looking for excuses.
Yeah. Or asked how things were going with your son's girlfriend.
Okay, I have said things about you, I guess. I have.
I guess.
I'm just going to own up to that. I'm just saying that I don't go around and talk to...
Child.
I mean, Missy will say, is Sean and Jenny coming over? And I'll say, well, I invited them. But I don't ramble on and say, oh, that little shit Jenny. I don't say anything about that. I don't ever do anything about that. I just say, I invited them. That's all I say. And
so innocent, right?
I don't know. I don't know why it comes back to Sean, because I don't say anything. That I don't go to anybody and tell them. Heidi knew when you guys had that conversation with me why I was so upset, but Vaughn knows, but that's it. Nobody else knew. I'm just saying, Jenny, that I am willing to do whatever I can to just be part of you guys' life. I hope that you can find some place in your heart to forgive me. I'm sorry. I've said and done things in the past, and if you want to list every one of them, I'll try not to ever do that again. But I'm just saying to you, whatever I've done, I would like to start fresh, start over, give me another chance. But I don't know how I can go back to all the things in the past that I have done. I'm just saying that I am sorry. I have learned a valuable lesson from all of this.
Which is what?
That I have hurt your feelings, and I am sorry about that.
And what has happened to hurt my feelings?
What has happened to hurt your feelings? Well, I assumed that when I was there with the baby and taking pictures that you didn't go because I was there and you were looking over my shoulder.
Patty,
that was my assumption. That was wrong.
And again, we left. We did go. So when you're sharing, no, you didn't. When you're sharing this story with someone, and it's completely false, and you're saying this whole thing happened when that's not what happened, you may have had a picture of me looking over your shoulder. I was uncomfortable because my baby was sick and she was crying, and you were trying to take a picture with her and she was wobbling on your knee, and it was making me feel very uncomfortable as her mother and her being very young. So yeah, you might have a picture of me with my face and my being uncomfortable. However, you stayed and you visited with my mom. You didn't leave immediately when we left. And the first time that you told us that story, you said that we never even left because I was uncomfortable of you being with my baby. So it's very frustrating to hear this, because I still feel like you're just being dismissive of the fact that I don't like that you make things up. I don't like that you constantly are talking about me in a negative light. I don't like it.
You guys were, you know what, when I walked outside to get in my car, you guys were all deciding where you was going to sit in your vehicle.
Patty, we were already gone. That. No, you weren't. We were already gone. We were already gone because you sat and you visited with my mom, and you actually tried to talk to my mom about, apparently I was suffering from depression, which she was like, well, I don't know why she would be bringing that up, but she told you she's not depressed. I don't know what she's talking about. And then you talked to her about your upcoming surgery. So you're still like, just don't do that.
Okay, now I must have remembered it wrong. Okay, I'm sorry. Jenny, I can tell you 100 times that I
remembered it wrong.
All I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say that I want to have a relationship.
Of course you do. Yeah, no shit. Has there ever been a question that she didn't want to have a relationship? That's the problem. You're admitting to things that aren't in question. Nobody's saying, hey, Patty, you don't want to have a relationship. But no, the problem is, no, you do want to have a relationship, an inappropriate one. You're making arguments that aren't even on the table.
That I would not say your name. I would not talk about you, and I haven't. That's all I'm saying. And my intention to call you was that you are Sean's wife, and I just want to make some kind of relationship with you. And if you can find that somewhere that you could do that, I would appreciate that.
And I understand that.
I can't bring up everything that I've ever done that I could have offended you on. I'm just saying today that I'm sorry, and I'm and that's all I can do. So I'm sorry.
And that, you know, I understand that, but you also have to understand that because this is something that has been going on for years, it's frustrating, and it's hard for me to not hear that, like, you really are actually acknowledging or like taking ownership over the fact that you've done these things. It's very frustrating for me to still like hear you kind of just be clueless and aloof about it as if you don't really know. I don't need to go
That's
into
her
specific
game.
incidents because there would be too many to list, but it's also not something that's just going to be that easy for me to just say, okay, call it a wash, like, let's just start fresh, because like the damage has been done.
Okay, and this is now. I'm just saying that I am doing my very best to make amends for it. I get the damages done. If you can find it in your heart to forgive me, I would appreciate that. But you don't have to. It's totally up to you. My life will go on, and that's fine. I just wanted to call you to just tell you that I'm sorry. I'm sorry, and that's all I can do. And so, anyway, I'm sorry that I've offended your family and everything. I didn't know I'd done that. I'm just saying to you that I can only go forward. So I'm sorry. I hope that someday you can, you would want to be part of our family. But if you don't, I totally understand.
Oh, so now you're not a part of the family. See. If I'm out, then there's no family. You see what she's saying here?
That's all I'm saying. I just, on one hand, Jenny, it's one thing not to see me, but I would hope that she would see that Sean has siblings that he would still like to be involved with. So,
look,
and that's fine.
You also have to understand that a lot of this stuff has been going on in the middle of a pandemic where we have had to be careful about the interactions that we have with different people. So this hasn't just been about like us staying away and doing those things. We have a lot of other things going on in our lives within our little family unit that make a lot of that extra time extremely difficult. So this isn't me just like telling Sean that he can't be with his family and that he is being kept away from his family, because in my eyes it's like it's our family, because I am an extension of him, like Navy is an extension of him.
Duh. That's what the mother's saying. Well, you're not in the family if I'm not a part of it. Don't you get it? Don't you see? She still puts herself at the top of the fucking food chain. Because she knows she owns your husband. She knows her son husband is going to climb right back up in her vagina and start sucking his thumb in her uterus. She knows it.
So this isn't like me keeping Sean away. This is us having to like pick and choose, where we are and how things are going, and, minimizing risks when we feel it's necessary. So there is that part of it that plays in that. And what I'm saying when it comes to things with the relationship is that, it does make me have difficulties, and it does make me feel concerned with a lot of things, because the things that have happened that have led up to this point have made it very difficult for me to have a lot of trust in you and to have trust in the relationship, which thus affects everything else. It affects my ability to trust that, like, the things that I ask for with Navy, like, that they would be okay. And, like, I understand that you kind of have just been in that role, in that position in your family where it's just second nature, that you kind of just, like, do and say whatever, and, like, we take care of things this way and we do that. But, like, you're a paternal in-law, and it's a little bit different than it is from being on the maternal side. Like, it's different, and it's, not your way of doing things. And there's a lot of things that have also happened, like when we have been around, that it's just like, it's like I have to sit there and think, like, oh, wait, okay, well, now why should I even have to ask somebody, like, not to do this thing or not to do that thing? And so it creates a lot of discomfort of not being able to have that trust that, like, those boundaries and those things will be respected. So I guess when things get to a point that like that can be shown and that I can see that and feel comfortable with that, like regardless of whatever my relationship is with you, that's going to kind of be the route that has to go.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, well, thank you. Let me know if there's anything you guys need. Anyway, okay, well, thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it. Okay, see ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was nearly 27 minutes of a pointless conversation. Because she told you, you're not even a part of the family without her. She sees herself, showed you exactly how she sees herself. Well, if you want to become part of the family, she still isn't registering with her or with you. Okay, don't you see it? You're the outsider. That's what Sean's telling. That's what your husband's telling you. That's what she's telling you. You're the outsider. There's no room for you in mommy's uterus. There's no fucking room for you. And I'm telling you this, Jenny. I'm telling you this. After what he admitted about his mother being dangerous and all the shit she does, if something happens to your daughter because of her, it's on you. Okay? Because you know what she is. He admitted what she is. He knows what she is. It's on you. It's on you. I told you this is going nowhere. He has no intention of leaving mommy's uterus. None. So, I hope that helps. Thank you so much for another contribution and story, Jenny. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like me to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype, phone call, have a private video made, or you'd just like to make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you guys. Without you, all of this goes away, as I am completely demonetized from YouTube. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channels here and on Rumble, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Refuge from Narcissism. Take care, everybody.